I understand you're going to try to put this on the website tonight?
Okay, wait, it's time to start and we can talk about that in public comment. Sorry.
Good evening. It is 6 p.m. on March the 7th, and this is the monthly PAC board meeting for Marin Valley Mobile Country Club. We have present the 5 members of the board: John Hanson, who is vice president; Carol Joy Harris, who is treasurer;
No,
Steve
secretary,
Clocher is secretary. What did I say?
treasurer.
Oh, okay. Steve Clocher is the treasurer. Vicky Waddell is the member at large, and myself is the president. So without further ado, I'd like to ask for approval of the final agenda.
No, public comment.
Okay, usually after we approve the agenda, I usually do public comment.
I'm sorry, Jay. I thought you said minutes. Excuse me.
You're excused. Carol Joy.
I move we approve.
John Hanson. So you second, all in favor? 5-0. Okay, and now public comment.
Okay.
3 minutes. 3 minutes. For items that are not on the agenda. Carol Joy Harris.
I'll go. I have a couple things. Number one, we received the members of the board received an email from Comcast Cable 26, our liaison there, that they will no longer be able to broadcast our meetings. They've kind of disbanded, sort of, and we can't broadcast us or pretty much anyone else. So they said that we can pursue being broadcast by the public access channel in or television station in San Rafael. I'm not sure if anyone on the board has done that, but that's number one. So we're not being broadcast for the foreseeable future, and maybe not ever again. I don't know. But we will pursue that. Secondly,
is Dave Terra a person that might be able to do that? Is
Dave Terra, you know what? I will take responsibility to contact Dave and have him, because he has been the liaison to Comcast. I will ask him if he would be willing to contact the people in the entity in San Rafael and see if they would be willing.
Very good. Thank you.
I will do that. Okay. Secondly, I think we should probably say at the beginning of these meetings that these Zoom meetings are being recorded and put on our website. And so if anyone objects to having their video picture being shown on our website, which is accessible to anyone, they should black out their picture and maybe take their name off if they object to that, so just because it's recorded. And then to say that it will be available on our website, which is marinvalley.net, within usually like 2 days. Okay, I have something else too, if I have any time left. And that is that we do publicize these meetings. Well, we are required to post the agenda on the clubhouse, at the clubhouse, which I do 72 hours before the meeting. I also send it out to the people who have asked. You have to opt in to that email list, and I send that list out usually at just about the same time I post the agenda, which is 72 hours in advance. Anyone who's watching this who's not on that list, please contact me and I'll put you on the list. We also put up we also have an announcement in every month's Echo. And we also usually put up a banner. And we hope that that gets people to come to our meetings. So that's it.
Thank you,
Carol Joy.
John Hanson.
Yeah, I have a comment on that. Actually, I don't know how or the last time that we actually put it out to people that they need to opt in to meeting information. And I'm wondering if we shouldn't send an email out to everybody with an email address and tell them that that they can opt into the meeting or they can opt out. It's their choice. But I think it would be good to do that. We have, over the last 3 years, many new people in the park that may not know what they need to do to join the meeting.
Well, it's in every month's Echo. In every month's Echo, at the end of Jay's comments, he says, if you want to receive agendas and minutes, please contact Carol Joy Harris. And occasionally someone will do so, and I will add them to the list. But that is something we could do. I don't know who has the list of every single email that's of everyone in the park, except for John and Irma, who keep track of the directory.
I saw Irma had her hand up. Do you have a comment, Irma?
Even though it's in the Echo, that's saying that you think everyone reads the Echo. I wish they did. I think it's a great idea to start sending everything to everybody, and then just have them opt out. And believe me, if people don't want it, they'll opt out, and they won't necessarily opt in because they just, don't get around to it or whatever. So unless there's other objections, I think that Anila and I should get that list up to current and use that for everything in the park now.
Okay, I would like to reply to that and say that this is actually a discussion, which we're not supposed to be having in public comment, except that it's procedural, and so it's allowable for us to do so. So I just want to put that out there in case anyone has concerns about that. So in response to what Irma said, since we're having this discussion, I think that's a great idea. So let's offline, let's you and I coordinate on how to do that with the agendas and minutes. Okay. Irma?
You're also, excuse me, you're also, Irma, going to put in a header telling people how they may observe the meeting without showing their face and without being identified. In other words, they can just opt in without identifying themselves, just to watch the meeting if they want.
Right, but we're talking about sending out agendas and minutes. We're not talking right now about the meeting, although that's a good thing to say too, but.
On the agenda and everything, yeah.
Oh, I should put that at the end of the agenda.
Yes.
That's a good idea. I will do that. I'll do that. Thank you.
Any further comment on this subject? Is there anyone else who, I see Ellen Jane's name raised, but John and Irma, can you tell us what's on your mind?
Well, I was hoping that Matt would be here, but I could say it again, but in the past, one of the twins used to come by the clubhouse, lock all the doors, turn out all the lights. And I noticed that every night, like at 9 o'clock, I noticed looking at the clubhouse, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, there are still lights on. This is like, it just brings up our electricity bill when lights go on all night long, every night, and it's just about every night. And also that means if the lights aren't being turned out, does that also mean the doors aren't being checked and the windows aren't being checked? So it would be nice if we could start doing that again. And I'm wondering, do they not do it because it's open till 10 every night? Or why are the lights on all the time?
Good question. We'll find out. Thank you, Irma. Ellen Jane.
Well, segueing with Irma, I'd like to mention about how about the heat going all night, Irma? How about the heat? Does anybody leave their heater going all night? So that's also constantly a big issue for me. And it's I believe we have that security service that it's now no longer the twins that locks up and turns out the lights. Isn't it Barbieri or something comes up? No? Well, oh, okay. Okay, so it's back to the twins. Okay, well, I wanted to speak to Matt, and so at least, but I wonder when the heck all that bumper striping is ever going to happen, because the twins went down the other side from the clubhouse, but they didn't go down my side, and some of the by the handicap too. It's still not striped on both sides. So that's my question for Matt. Will that ever be taken care of? Because, it's been months, years. Thank you.
Thank you. Not seeing any other requests for public comment. I'd like to move on to the consent calendar and ask for the approval of the February 7th meeting. John Hanson.
John, you're muted. Were you moving?
What?
You were muted.
Oh,
He raised his hand, calling for the approval of the minutes, and
that's
I
right.
believe- Are you seconded, Carol?
Oh,
Joy?
sure. I'll second it.
Very good. Any comments or additions or subtractions? Seeing none, can I call for the approval of the minutes? All in favor? 5-0. Thank you. Moving on to reports. Matt isn't here tonight. And he sent me an email in which he gave me a series of reports, very informative in many senses, and that he didn't have a capital report or capital maintenance report, although I did see a member of the city staff going around checking on the slopes and the potential damage from the rainfall. So I spoke with him, and he had been around looking at places where there might be mudslides and whatever to see if any work had to be done. And it appears that the land has withstood the recent rains. I think the amount of vegetation that grew in the interim from the first deluge to the second was enough to hold a lot of the mudslides. So there was a little bit, but not much. The standard maintenance is being maintained, as we know, in the clubhouse, but raising the question about lights and heat in the clubhouse, I think we'll have to bring that forward to Matt during the month. The reports that he gave me were on the electrical usage and the gas usage. And I know that people all are concerned with their high bills. And we investigated that the PG&E has not raised any rates in this last few months. However, because we have been using a lot, the amount of gas and electric not only people have used, but the clubhouse has shot up in those last 2 or 3 months. So there's not much we can do about it, except for, I think, a very good suggestion is to make sure that those temperatures and the lights are not on when no one's occupying it. So if anyone has any questions for Matt, I will be happy to pass it on, and or people can make comments now. So are there any comments people want to make aside from Ellen's comment about the painting of the bumpers in the road? So seeing none, let's just move on
Oh,
to
wait, there's a hand.
where?
Irma.
Irma. Oh, hi, Irma. Sorry, I didn't see it. You want to unmute yourself?
Doing that. Okay, yes. No, I'm not. Okay. I noticed in the city reports that are listed on the website to go to find out what is the most current city requirement for asking for the use of vaccines, boosters, and masks in public places, that starting April 1st, the city is no longer requiring that people ask that everyone have vaccines and boosters and masks, but they are all highly recommended. So that means that will affect our ballroom events and also the clubhouse events. So I was gonna talk to Matt about that, but I looked it up on the city website and they said as of April 1st.
A comment I might have, Irma, is that any organization putting on an event or any people having an event there, that can they not make that a stipulation?
Well, it's
No.
up to the event themselves. It's up to the place themselves. So I just didn't know how Matt was going to interpret this new directive from the city. That's all. So I just wanted to say that is there. And Marvel, I know, is changing their requirements for their starting with their April activities. And Matt okayed that. So
Yeah, perhaps Carol Corey can tell us about that when she makes her report. John Hanson.
Well, I was just going to say that, I don't know what the average age is or the median age or whatever in the city is, but in Marin Valley, it's a little higher. I mean, we're minimum 55 here. And with that, our vulnerability to COVID is much higher than the regular population. And I think we should take that into consideration before we say, well, the city's doing that, so we should too.
I just want to add to that we may not be able to do anything different from what the city does because we're city owned.
Yeah, but that's not the question, Carol Joy. If an individual event is occurring and it's being sponsored by HOL or MVES or PAC, we can stipulate whether people should be vaccinated or wear masks if we want.
I'm just saying, I don't think that's necessarily true because it's a city-owned building. It's a public building. And
yeah, but it's our event, but it's the event.
I think a company can do whatever they want, but we're not private. So I'm just saying, I'm not sure that we're allowed legally to do anything different from what the city does because we're the city. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, thank you for not knowing. And we'll look into it.
Okay.
John and Irma.
I also just wanted to add the other thing that they recommend that we still do is stay 6 feet apart and check ventilation. Always make sure there's ventilation happening. So.
Yeah, I mean, along with this discussion, I'll just say that COVID is still with us. There's no question that people are tired and people want to go out and people want to socially be involved. And they are. But it's still out there and it hasn't gone away. And for us, as John Hanson mentions, we are in a very vulnerable position at our age. So, we have to make all efforts to be careful. And although, you know, the city and people generally want to become more social and get out there, I think we have to give people the opportunity to still be careful, because it's still there and it hasn't gone away. Anyway, any other further comment before we move on?
My hand's been raised, John, Jay.
Yes, Ellen, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand. Go ahead.
Thank you. I want to go back to something you said about like that the PGN rates have not been raised. And did you actually look at your bill and compare the rates? Because
Yes.
I did. Well, I looked at mine, and that's funny that mine went up. My gas went up 20%. Therms, it says how much each, you know, the first level, tier 1, tier 2. I kind of got into tier 2 a lot, so I'm mostly concerned with tier 1, but it went up 20% from the month before. And I forget
what went up 20% from tier 1 to tier 2, or both of them went up?
No, in tier 1, the price per therm went up 20% compared to the month before. Or maybe it was, yeah, I think it was the month before, or it was the month before that. I remember, I don't have it in front of me, but the price went up. So I don't know why yours didn't go up.
I'll double check it, but I checked it and mine didn't. And looking at the bill from the city, from the clubhouse, I didn't see that, but I'll double check it. Thanks for bringing it up.
Well, and then going back to, I mean, the lights and the heat, I mean, this is something I've been talking about for over a year, but it also applies to air conditioning that's left on all night, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I'm glad Irma brought it up, because maybe somebody will listen to her, because what I say doesn't seem to count for much here, unfortunately. But, you know, sometimes you have to be a squeaky wheel. So thank you.
Okay, so let's move on to the PAC treasurer report.
Okay, our petty cash account is still the same as it has been for several months, $2,193. And in our PAC budget, we have spent only $1,000 of our $4,000 budget. The finance report, where I talk about the DSCR. That is not healthy at first glance, and most of it, I think, is stuff that will moderate as we get toward the year end, because Chris Blunk is pretty much committed to have that worked out, and Matt works to get that also. But by my calculations, our DSCR at the end of January was 1.24. When I massaged it with the things that I know were heavily weighted in the first part of the year, I got it up to 1.68. Interesting thing, I just got the February financials from Matt today. We rarely get the recent month this early, so we're always talking about back 1 month. But when I do the calculations for February and make the corrections that I tend to make for stuff that's out of balance, I get up to 1.9. So I think we're going in the right direction. And I have confidence that Matt and Chris Blunk will bring us in around 2.0 by the end of our fiscal year. Any questions?
Steve, any comments from the board? From residents? Yes, John Hanson.
Yeah, that would, we had talked about paying off the loan from our savings. And the issue is whether we would have enough for capital projects going forward, and still have enough of a slush fund for emergencies. But I would say that if we did pay that off, that DSCR then no longer is an issue. Is that correct?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the city is waiting for a capital a capital improvements report, where they talk about everything spread out in the future, what it's going to take to keep us going for big projects that are going to need attention. And I haven't seen that yet. Jay, do you know if that's available yet?
Chris keeps on commenting that he was going to get to it by the end of last month and then pass it on to Matt, and that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, I think he has it, but so the decision to pay off the loan or not is dependent on that capital report, showing what kind of reserves we're going to need just for ordinary expectations in the years ahead. And I think the idea is that if it shows that there is excess capital, then the discussion about paying off the loan can be had. But
Exactly.
it's
That's
being
right.
delayed at the moment.
And as I understand that, that report's probably been in for a few months, and I hope it's not sitting on the same desk as the R&Rs.
They are.
Yeah,
Again, the city is understaffed. There's no question about it. And a lot of it has fallen onto Chris's desk. And as Steve mentioned, exactly what that report entails is the amount of capital we'll need to maintain ourselves going forward. And those issues have to be dealt with before we consider paying off the loan. The only thing that Matt and the PAC board should be interested in is to make sure that those figures are realistic in the sense that it's not just, again, the idea that a aluminum wire in the ground should last for 12 years. So now we should dig up all the wires. So, Matt, I think, really has to take a hard look at it before those figures are finalized in terms of how much reserves we have going forward. And we all know that the only thing we're doing is waiting for Chris to finish his analysis and pass it on to Matt so that we can have our own comments on it. And with that, I'd like to move on to the Cal Joy and myself talking about what kind of information coming out from the city is beneficial to us. And the one thing that I can say is that I did have a conversation with Chris over the month, and he reiterated that he was working on that report and he was going to pass on that infrastructure report to Matt soon, and that he was still working on looking at the R&Rs. And he did give us permission to go forward and look at having the roof repaired this year by not going out through the normal bid process, but by using a facility that he has available to himself that the city's own maintenance department can pull bids for projects under $200,000 and with competitive bidding decide on a contractor to do it. So both Matt and myself worked on that to get contractors that we know to put bids into the city, and they can solicit bids themselves. And the hope therefore is to have the roof done this summer or after the spring when the rains drop off. And the thing that we also discussed, Chris and I, is that on top of the roof, we should now put supports for the proposed solar that we want to put on the roof of the clubhouse for both the water for the swimming pool and to make electricity to help reduce the amount of power that we have to buy from PG&E to support ourselves. Carl Joy, do you have anything else that
yeah, I just want to add that there will be a 2x2 meeting later this month in March. So by the April meeting, we'll have more to report. I also want to say, this is kind of on the subject of the 2x2. last month, Jay and I reported that we had met with Mark Milberg, who is the city council member who represents our particular district of the city now that we're divided into districts. However, all 5 members of the city council vote on everything related to MVMCC. So they all need to be cognizant of who we are, what our issues are. Mark Milberg, who has been on the council for almost 2 years, had never been in the clubhouse or anywhere around the park. So it was good that we met with him and told him our issues. There is a brand new member of the city council, and that is Tim O'Connor, an Irishman who immigrated here in 2005, moved to Nevada in 2008. I met him at a chamber event a week or so ago. He's brand new. He was appointed to take the place of Eric Lucan. He has a lot of experience with the Finance Commission. So he'll be someone that maybe Steve Ploker will be working with in the future. But out of all the people who applied for that position, he was the one who was appointed. He has a lot of familiarity with how Nevada works. So the reason I bring that up is that once he gets his feet wet, Jay and I plan to do the same thing with him, which is have him here, show him around, tell him what our issues are, which right now would be the 2 things that, well, a lot of things, but the rules and regulations not being back to us. We need some up-to-date rules and regulations. We all know that. And also about our, what we're talking about, the capital projects, what's needed there, and related to that, should we pay off the loan or not? And just, there's a lot of big things up in the air. So all the city council members need to be aware of all those things. And Jay and I, as the 2x2 people, will take care of that. I mean, we used to have meetings here, as many of the people on this call know. We used to have city council member meetings here. I don't see that happening in the near future. So we need to get those people here and familiarize them. That's all.
Thank you, Carol Joy. Any questions or comments from the board or from residents? Yes, John Hanson. You're muted.
I should leave it unmuted. Anyway, there's a question in the chat about the tax ramifications. I thought I would bring it up for everybody because, as I understand, there are no tax ramifications for paying off the loan. But the main thing there is that along with paying the principal on the loan, we're still paying several $1,000s a month. And Steve, do you remember exactly what that is at the present time?
Dollars?
Yeah.
In 1 month, we pay $7,300 in interest.
Yeah, and interest, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that would be a big savings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ellen Jane has her hand up.
Thank you. Excuse me, sorry. The rules and regs, the urgency of getting these up-to-date rules and regs has come up a couple times already. And I think it's pretty ironic because they're not up to date. I mean, aren't they haven't they had them for 4 years? The city council?
The city council has not had them at all. They haven't
No,
gone
not
to
the council. I'm sorry, the city.
the city. Yes, years, more than 4.
Okay,
Years.
so I have a hunch they're not going to be up to date. They're going to need another revision when we finally get them back. They're going to be, I'm guessing, that's just my 2 cents. Thank you.
Anila, do you have a comment?
No, John said what I was going to.
Okay. Any other comment? Okay. John Hanson on, before we go there, project planning, John Hanson and myself. Do you want to lead off, John?
Yeah, Jay, we already talked about some of the project planning with respect to the planning for the clubhouse, the clubhouse roof, and looking forward for, to the possibility or probability or prospect, let's say, of putting solar on the clubhouse and otherwise around the clubhouse to help mitigate our electrical bills. And that's something I think that we now have an opportunity to do, given that I say the city has given us that opportunity. So I look forward to taking advantage of that. And while we're on that subject, I would just like to say that coming up later this year and next year, there is the federal money, federal grant money that will be available. There's also state grant money, and there's several different local pockets of grant money for electrification, and that's primarily where it is. But just various projects for electrification in our homes. And quite frankly, with PG&E cost going up, and the cost of gas going up, using electrified products and services in our home is looking far more appealing than it used to. So if you want to use a heat pump water heater, for example, or a heat pump a laundry dryer, you can save a significant amount of money. The devil's in the details, though, with having to put in 240-volt circuits in your home where you didn't have any, and that can be expensive, but there is some funding for those too. But just want to put that out to everybody in the park, really, for residential and possibly for the clubhouse too, with commercial grants for doing the same thing. That now is the time to plan for it. When your water heater goes out, is not the time to start planning on getting a new one. It's better to start planning now so that you know exactly what to do and when, and what your opportunities and so forth are to take advantage of.
Yeah, swinging back to the clubhouse, so what John and I have been working on with Matt and with the city is that on top of the clubhouse roof, we have solar heating for the water for both the swimming pool and the condensers for the existing air conditioning in the building. We all know, or maybe we all don't know, but the heat pumps that we put in to the clubhouse have been very helpful to cool and heat the ballroom. And what we'll have the opportunity then is to, if we can fortify the roof strong enough, is to put a lot of those heat pumps and the necessary background material both on top of the roof and underneath the clubhouse, and really reduce the amount of maintenance that we have now on those facilities. The idea of electrification, if we can get solar on the roof, which has been approved by the city, although we don't have the project yet, the first thing we have to do is to get the roof where it will support it. And we want to put in the support system so we don't have to rip open the roof to put on the solar panels, which should be coming down the road very soon. So there's a lot of talk between ourselves and Matt and the city about how to reduce our costs so that, again, keeping our costs down means that we can maintain our rents as they are. So with that, I don't have anything else to add. John, do you have anything?
Well, the only other thing there is, replacing our HVAC, which are very old systems and very inefficient, replacing them with electric heat pump systems, as we did in the ballroom. First of all, the amount of solar that we would need to maintain those operating under all the time would be, in other words, our costs would be substantially less. It would be well worth it for us to pull out the HVAC and put in heat pumps for the fireside room and for the library, as we have done for the ballroom. So
And the kitchen too.
that's right. And the sheathing on the roof, much of it needs to be replaced anyway because the roof has been leaking. So it's going to have to be replaced anyway. Might as well do it in a way that can support solar panels.
Okay, thank you, John. Moving on to HOL. We have a report from
MVest. MVest.
MVest. Did I miss MVest?
Yeah.
John Hanson, MVest.
All right, well, yeah, with MVest, of course, our meeting for this month will be next Monday. So we haven't met this month and haven't met since early last month, but we have been busy in the interim. Actually been working with HOL and with a particular project where we're looking to assisting the residents of the park with landscaping, with re-landscaping and renovating the landscaping that people already have to the extent that's feasible and reasonable and would be safe to do so. There are a number of different grants that are available, and we're looking for more grant funding to support the project. The objective is to make a nicer looking yard than what many people have. That not that they look that bad, but they're old and overgrown, and it's time to to regenerate them. Things have changed a lot since most of our landscaping was done. So we're looking for fire-wise landscaping and yards. We're looking for drought-tolerant, water-wise, and just a generally a better looking or more up-to-date landscaping for the entire park. So these are the objectives that HOL and MVest are working on jointly to try to put a plan together and implement it, put it out to residents to make it very attractive. Otherwise, we're working on a total redo of the MVest plan, emergency management plans for the park, and we've broken that down into 10 or 11 different areas of interest, like domestic fires and wildfires and earthquakes and extreme smoke events, so that we have a plan for any of these things when they come up. That's all we have to do is essentially push a button and activate the plan to help to facilitate, to mitigate, or to respond to any of the particular issues that might arise. This coming Monday, we'll be looking at the earthquake emergency management plan, and we will also be discussing the emergency medical plan, which basically should be called emergency first aid plan. So if you wish to come to the meeting, let me know and I'll get you the URL for the Zoom link.
Thank you, John.
Certainly.
Any comments from the board or from residents?
I just want to say that the HOL Invest Cooperation has generated an article which I'm about to send to Anila right now, and it should be in the next echo, at least outlining what we intend to do.
Okay, so moving on to a report from HOL, John Feld.
Okay, well, we've got a lot of stuff coming up. First, we've got the recycling event that was pioneered by Ellen Jane. And that's coming up at the 8th of April. And it should be a very interesting event. They've asked us to submit questions. And I'm sure we're going to get some probing questions. So that we encourage everybody to come to that. We've got a pelvic floor class coming up next week, and is for men and women, and it deals with a lot of different issues from the lower back to the legs to the chest to the to all sorts of problems that people have. That also should be very interesting. It's a woman who actually practices therapy in this area, and she's going to come and give us exercises and tell us the do's and don'ts. We have a new art class coming with Janet Bogardis, which is going to be based on acrylic paint. And that's going to be 6 classes starting on April 4th in the club, in the ballroom. We're looking to get some literature in the library for wills, whether it's literature or an application on one of the computers. I'm not sure yet, we're still investigating it, but there isn't anything in the library to tell people how to write wills or to update their wills. And it seems from talking to one of the lawyers in the park that it is not necessarily actually to go out and hire a lawyer to change a will, but we need to know what to do and how to do it. So we're going to provide the documentation for that.
Nettie,
Um,
I'll be back in half an hour.
The trash was delayed through personal problems, health problems, and is now going to be on April 22nd, the next dump run. And we are looking for people to help, because all of our helpers, Ed and his crew, are all suffering from age-related problems in their bodies. And we need a couple of strong people to put stuff into the trailer and also offload at the other end. And again, that's on April 22nd. If you've got anything that you want to have removed, you email Ed. We have the play in full swing, thanks to, in large part, to Vicky. And they're doing an awful lot of work. And it's going to be a cast of thousands. And the rest of us are also invited to come. And it's also open to the general public, not just to park residents. There's going to be 2 showings, a Saturday and a matinee on Sunday. I think that's, oh, we're also planning our event for Pauline. You know, Pauline has given up the responsibility for the front garden, and with the new pump station coming in, she's given up caring for that that little garden down there. And she has recently had another hip replacement, and she's not feeling up to doing all of that work anymore. And so we're going to have a celebration to highlight all the things that she has done over the years. And that will be open to the public. And we're still in the planning stages of that, but it should be coming shortly. I think that's it.
John Hanson.
Yeah, one more thing is coming in, talking about events, is Marin Sill or Marin Center for Independent Living. That's going to be, when is that, John? The 14th, Sunday afternoon, on the 14th?
Sunday afternoon, 14th, yes.
14th of April.
April. And it's a huge milestone for us to get Marin Sill to do anything. And they're being very proactive, and they're coming here, and they're going to have a tremendous presentation. And it is going to be not actually a talk, but a conversation. So they want us to participate. And as soon as I get topics or an agenda, I will distribute that around the park, probably with a flyer. But we're still working out the details of that.
Yeah, just to remind you that Marin Sill, what they do is that's Marin Center for Independent Living. And they have a number of services and products that are available for seniors and AFN community. And so it will be, I think, a very worthwhile program for people to attend, if for no other reason than the food.
Yeah.
John,
we're gonna-
John, could I have an echo for
you-
the echo?
You used an acronym there. What is AFM?
AFN, that's access and functional needs.
Thank you.
Yeah, as you get older, you'll hear it much more.
Mhm.
Well, when it goes in the minutes, we
Anila,
need to,
John and John, could you please give me a little blurb about it to put in the echo? By tomorrow.
Well, we don't have details yet, so I can give you dates, but we don't have the details yet.
Date and time would be perfect. You heard it here first,
Okay.
date and time, details to
Okay.
follow.
I will include that.
Thank you.
any other comments or dialogue? Okay, let's move on to Marvel, Carol Corey.
May I speak on behalf of President Carolyn Corey?
You may.
She said she'll be having a St. Patrick's Day dinner with corned beef and all the usual sides on Saturday, March 11th. I believe is a vegetarian dish as well. The thing is, though, reservation deadline is tomorrow. So if you want to go, get up there, put your name on the list. Drink of the night will be Irish coffees. Actually, St. Patrick's Day falls on a pub night, so we will be able to be Irish, all of us, for 2 days in a row. Pub is continuing with pizza every Friday, along with the usual snacks for only $5. Popcorn is free. And that's it. Short and sweet.
Vicky, can you tell us about the mask requirement or any safety issues around people?
No, I have not talked to Carolyn or anybody on Marvell about this issue. I just personally found out about it myself today. So I can't speak for them. I don't know.
Okay, no,
I have one personal comment about it. In terms of the play, there are some people that are coming in from out of town to attend the play.
right.
And I'm going to be interested in hearing from Carol Joy, whomever, about if we can extend mask requirements for those out of towners, because we don't know those people. You know, their friends or relatives, but maybe it'll be sufficient to, maybe the city will allow us to take their COVID cards. I don't know, but it's, you know, the fact that they're not park people is something I think we need to discuss. That's just a personal comment from me, not from Marvell.
Right. Okay. So let's move on to Carol Joy Harris on the PAC board election.
okay. The two people whose seats will be up for re-election, if they so choose, this year are Stephen Plocher and Vicky Waddell. Steve has indicated that he would like to run again. Vicky has indicated that she would not like to run again. Therefore, we will have one open seat. If the people who are now the 4 officers continue in those roles, and that is likely, I would say, but who knows, that open seat would be the at-large member. So let me back up there. After the new board is seated, we choose who the officers are. So it may be that that person is the at-large member, or they may take one of the officer seats. So John Hanson has agreed to sort of co-chair the position with me as the board member who is overseeing the election committee. The chair of the election committee must be a non-board member, and that person who has done it before has agreed to do it again, and that is Timo Navsky. So what we are going to do is put announcements in the Echo. I'm getting something to Anila tomorrow, saying if you're interested in running for a seat on the board, you need to let John Hanson or me know.
Or Timo.
Or Timo, yes, thank you. I'm not, let's see, I think that would be within the next. Oh, shoot, I don't have the deadline on that, but
Early
it's
May.
like
early
end,
May.
end of April or early May. That's right, early May. So there's some time to decide. There is one person who has already indicated an interest in that. So, and if no one else does, then there would be no need for an election, which would save the PAC board some money, a few $100s, but that shouldn't be the main issue. The main issue is participation. So that is the report for now.
Thank you. Any comment or question?
Well done.
So moving on, no old business, no.
Wait,
business.
Irma has her hand up.
Oh. Irma, do you want to say something?
It's John.
I just would like to thank Vicky for her wonderful participation
Thank
in the PAC board.
She's not done yet. She
No,
has
but,
a couple more months to go.
this is the
but-
last chance I'll get to do it at
Two
a
more
PAC
meetings.
meeting.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, no old business, no new business. The next meeting will be scheduled for Tuesday, April 4th. Any objection? Hearing none, I will see you April 4th at 6 p.m. Thank you.
I
for
move
your
to
attention.
adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Third, all
Okay.
in favor?